Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English news from Djibouti channel. Here are the headlines of our edition tonight. The main titles are on national news and events. The ASPIO, the National Archaeological Heritage. The work of the 10th African Union Retreat on Peace and Security was concluded yesterday. On continental news, United States crucial vote of the American Congress is trailing the investigation to remove Trump. Welcome if you join us as part of the celebration of the National Heritage Day, celebrated each year on November 1st. The locality of Daspio in the Ali Sabih region was honored by organizing a hiking tour this morning on the height of Faradil, not far from the village, a celebration that brought together the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, as well as the member of the government. The day's meal was the hiking trip, where more than 100 people participated. The event, 3 kilometers by foot under the cool hills of the historic locality of Daspio. The Prime Minister, members of the government, and local population ended this hike in a climate of serenity. The Minister of Waqf, Mr. Mumin Hassan Barres, said that the Aspio is considered as a clean, good, and common heritage of a group, the cultural heritage of our country, and we have to preserve it. In his part, the Minister of the Labour, Mr. Isman, stressed the importance of this event to highlight the importance of the national heritage and the role of intangible cultural heritage in preparedness, recovery, and resilience. In his part, the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, said that the purpose was to review the current state of knowledge concerning intangible cultural heritage, the role that living heritage can play in identifying relevant case studies, mainly in many areas, and to develop a set of recommendations to help safeguard and mobilize intangible cultural heritage in different contexts. The work of the 10th African Union High-Level Retreat on the promotions of peace, security, and stability in Africa was closed on Thursday at Djibouti Palace Campiski. The Commissioner for Peace and Security of African Union Commissioner, Mr. Ismail Shergi, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations Peacekeeping Operation and Special Envoy of the African Union presided this work. The theme of the retreat was the governance and security sector reform in Africa, involving principles and practices of interventions, restorations, and peace building. The main objective of the retreat was to examine the existing instruments and partnership available to the African Union. The Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of industry, Mr. Ilyas Moussa Dawale, and his counterpart representing the 5 countries of the Horn of Africa, namely Djibouti, as well as Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, Eritrea, meet in Washington, D.C. during the annual meeting of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund to continue discussion on promoting economic integrations and regional cooperation in the Horn of Africa. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, received in his office the ambassador of the Arab Republic of Egypt to Djibouti, Dr. Mohammed Mustafa. The minister welcomed and expressed his satisfactions with this courtesy visit to his city. He recalled the historical and fraternal relations between Djibouti and Egypt. The Industrial and Commercial High School hosted this weekend the official launch ceremony of the training in transport and logistics for benefit of the capital's transport and logistic teacher. The launch ceremony was attended by the inspector of General Mr. Mahdi Omar, the head of department, Mrs. Amina, as well as the department and logistic inspector and some 20 teachers of transport and logistics. This training provided by an international expert will be organized in collaboration with a specialized organization in transport and logistics training. The World Food Program as well participated that event. As part of his participation in the second assembly of the International Solar Alliance in India and the margin of the plenary session of ministry member countries, the Minister of Energy in charge of natural resource, Mr. Yunus Ali Gedi, was received on Wednesday by India's Minister of Foreign Affairs as a special envoy of the head of state, the Minister of Energy in charge of natural resource, Mr. Yunus Ali Gedi, delivered a message from His Excellency Mr. Ismail Umar Gele to Indian Prime Minister. It should be noted that the message delivered by the Minister Yunus Ali Gedi concerned an official Djiboutian request to support our country's candidature for a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council for the period 2021 and 2022. It was at the invitations of the Turkish counterpart, Mr. Fahred, that the Minister of Health, Mr. Mohammed Warsa Madiriye, paid a courtesy visit to Istanbul, Republic of Turkey, from 3 to 31 October 2019. During his stay, the Minister of Health, accompanied by the Minister, by the Ambassador of Djibouti to Turkey, Mr. Aden Hussein, took part in the 6th World Medical Congress of Turkey and the HISAM conference focused this year on new information technologies for health. In order to meet the demand for blood bags in the delivery units of Dar al-Hanan maternity ward, about 50 members of FDD development tracks associations wanted to make this life-saving gesture by granting their own blood. Indeed, this day of blood donations took place in the presence of the President of the association, Mr. Labinaz Aden Ilmiad, and the Director of Maternity Dar al-Hanan, Mrs. Zahra Musa Qiyad. To the end, the President of the AVDD associations also urged Djiboutian to follow individually or in groups in order to participate in this dynamic of citizen solidarity and blood donations. The Place d'Armes of the Joint Military School EMIA stationed in Djibouti, the French forces station in Djibouti, hosted this Thursday a ceremony to award military parachutes certificate to 21st gendarmes of the National Gendarmeries Mobile, chaired by Colonel Emmanuel Antoine, Chief of the Staff of the French forces stationed in Djibouti. The ceremony was attended by Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, Chief of the Staff of the National Gendarmerie, Colonel Frédéric Dantin, and Colonel Hugues, respectively Security and Defense Attaché at the French Embassy in Djibouti. On continental news, the process initiated in the United States of the dismissal of Donald Trump took a major step forward on Thursday. The Democratic dominated House of Representatives has approved the official launch of an investigation which should demonstrate on or on the contrary, refute that the US president has tried to put pressure on his Ukrainian counterpart in order to tarnish the reputation of former Vice President Joe Biden, who is Democratic Party candidate best placed to face the White House standard in the next presidential elections. Here we arrive at the end of this news edition. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.